With eBay Refurbished, you have a choice of refurbished qualities to best fit your budget. Certified refurbished items are restored by the manufacturer to like new for up to 50% off. This drill was barely out of the box. Soon it will be back to working like new. Here's how it works. Every item is carefully inspected. Any imperfections are fixed by the manufacturer or manufacturer-approved vendor. Then it's tested to make sure it's working perfectly. Once it passes inspection, it's given the verified stamp of approval. Then repackaged with new accessories and shipped to its ultimate destination. With Certified Refurbished, you can shop with confidence because all our manufacturers go through a rigorous vetting process. And every purchase comes with an award-winning 2-year warranty, a money-back guarantee, and hassle-free returns. That's what makes it the smarter way to shop for premium brands. eBay Refurbished. Like new products, better than new prices.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, if G2 want to be getting the win this week, they're gonna have to take it on the next 2 maps, as they're gonna be dropping their map choice of Ascent over to FaZe. And honestly, that was a really strong showing coming out from FaZe and from G2, kind of leaving a couple more questions from me.
Yeah, to say the very least. That just wasn't the map, or that just wasn't the first map that we expected from G2. FaZe, I mean, they just didn't look bad. They didn't have anything incredible in terms of plans throughout this game, but we heard it a lot from players from Turtle Troop, players from TSM earlier, that a lot of the play right now in Valorant really does come down to if everyone is just clicking, if you're playing the way that you practice. And FaZe at the moment, everything clicked for them. They didn't have to scramble. They didn't have to redirect any of their takes. But in comparison to G2, they didn't have any early bursts. They didn't have too many preset exits that ended up super working out in their favor. I mean, they only had 5 rounds, and they only had, like, what, 3 rounds in the first half.
Yeah, and even when they all would burst out onto us, they execute FaZe, able to hold it down in some of those circumstances. So not really giving G2 any window of opportunity. Even with the 5 rounds, Dan, G2 managing to get 7 of the first kills, but they were just unable to convert that into those round wins.
Yeah, the conversion was just not looking great for G2, honestly, with a 5v4 and the way that it was going to play out, because a couple of times where we saw that happening, the first kills was maybe one very early into the round, maybe Baby Bay goes down, maybe one of the players from FaZe goes down, but the execute is yet to come through, and when it comes through, everybody else from FaZe is going to be ready for it. So again, I think FaZe look really good with the different ideas that they have, even going a little bit maybe outside of what is fully expected for every single round, and I think that's part of what Momet was able to do on this KO, going all the way around and getting so much info and playing around what they could gather from G2.
You said it earlier, by the way, though. G2, they used to have Oxy dropping at least 4 or 5 first kills per game. This game, he only dropped 3. He only dropped 2 on attack, and he ended up going negative on first deaths this game instead. So just that effect where G2 have been heavily leaning on, that couldn't come up big.
And now, having lost that first map, they're going to have to run it back over on Haven for map number 2 in this series. And reminder, the last 2 times these 2 teams have met, this was drastically different results. G2 was able to be taking these 2-0 victories over FaZe, including last time where they did it on these 2 maps. So Dan, going into this one, this is now FaZe looking comfortable on Haven. This is FaZe's pick, and they're already looking so good on the day.
When we heard Oxy saying, oh, FaZe is just going to run it down or we're going to shut them down, this is the map where I feel like they meant that kind of play happened, because if you look at the recent scores for G2 on Haven, they're not great. Actually, the only win that they have since the beginning of Split 1 was against FaZe, and it was because they had a really good matchup. The stylistic matchup that they had on Haven was working out great for them, and I feel like that is going to be a lot different today. I feel like FaZe, though they haven't been able to show too much against G2 on this map, now this is their chance, and they could take it in 2.
Yeah, no, just to add on to that, every single game that we've seen since that game against FaZe, I mean, they beat FaZe on the attack side 7-2. Everyone else since then have fully beaten them on the attack side, whether it be 2-7, 3-7. It's been really overwhelming for FaZe on that one side. And again, like you said, the stylistic choices, it did end up coming up big for G2, but since then, not so much.
Yeah, and there has been those changes too since the last time they did face off. So even if Haven has been something that in the past for FaZe during Challengers has looked a little bit meh with 2 out of their 4 games being losses to G2, this addition of Tig and Mame into the roster has been great for them. And even on that last map, I remember the one round where G2 storm over on B site. It's only those 2 back of site and able to just handedly deal with G2. So maybe Haven in the past was a little bit of a rundown, running it down, just giving it to G2. But now we have this different IGL in place, Dan. We got a little bit of a different phase that's all coming together. So surely this is going to be a quite different result.
And it has to be for FaZe, I think, on Haven. With the progress that they are making, I feel like winning this match in 2, it is kind of the next step to show, okay, FaZe, not only they're looking good against teams like OR, but also they can take a dominant win against G2.
And this as well, I feel like there's, in this week, a lot on the line for both of the teams, just in even outside of playoffs, but just for how the team is looking in that pride. For FaZe, they wanted to be, after they took that first loss in the split, this was a team that talked about them winning every single week, every single game going on forward from then, Gus. Yeah. Whereas for G2 now, we're looking at the potential of 4 losses back-to-back and next week going up against the Guard, which is a really tough blow.
Yeah, the optics for that, I can't really tell you how that works, because there still is a tinge of a chance that G2 could make it to playoffs without winning a single game in split number 2. And again, that all comes down to the circuit points. We were emphasizing it so many times. The mid-season face-off is going to be so important by the very end of the split, and this is actually where it's maybe unfortunately coming into play. FaZe, they didn't finish all that great in the mid-season face-off, and they absolutely needed the results that they have so far here in split number 2. They get another win today, by the way, because they already have a winning record, and they're confirmed at least top 4 in their group. I talked about this last week. There has never been a team that has had a winning record and has gotten below that top 4 spot in their group. So again, realistically speaking, FaZe Clan, they're a team that has actually less pressure than G2 right now. Again, incredible saying that considering the situation that G2 was in just a month ago.
With G2 as well, the fact that we're looking at this really strong potential that they could do playoffs without winning a single game, Dan. I mean, that is just, testament to what they've been able to do in the past to be putting themselves in that position. And then I'm curious when we're going to be able to see this turn around and things click, because it's been a little bit of a struggle bus so far in Split 2.
And I feel like we even got to see that a little bit at the end of Split 1, where G2, they didn't get every single win, even that win against Turtle Troop that Turtle Troop ended up getting. And ever since they had that deep run through the mid-season face-off, even winning against the Guard, they had some really good ideas, but this is a point where it's not even about making it to playoffs, but about getting a win on the split, even winning and keeping even that streak against FaZe and the 2-0 that you have against them that might be fading away.
Well, we're going to have to wait a smidge longer to see how Haven is going to be shaking up, to see if FaZe Clan is going to be able to close this out in 2. We're going to take a short break, though, to let everybody get their popcorn and snacks, and we are going to be right back.
FaZe Clan are one more map away from a winning record here in split number 2, and with a winning record, you at least secure yourself the top 4 in your group. FaZe, they're desperate for that, but G2, they already find themselves potentially in playoffs, but they might find themselves in playoffs with not a single win in split number 2. Things are getting a little wacky in Challengers, and we're here to bring you guys through map number 2. It's Haven between FaZe and G2, and we've already had some of the picks go down. Dryad, we shouldn't expect anything too crazy here, right?
Surely not. Right? It should be fine. I think that the craziest things that we saw were right at the beginning of the split 1, where G2 were running this double duelist comp, and even FaZe kind of trying to play different things. I feel like recently, since the mid-season face-off especially, teams went all the way back to exactly this kind of composition. You're gonna have that maybe of a difference with Poise playing that Cypher and Dapper playing that Killjoy. I actually want to benefit that composition and that Sentinel from the side of G2 a little bit more. I feel like Dapper is able to contribute and has been pretty consistent when it comes to giving that support for one of the sides and making sure that you're able to shut down FaZe.
And we do get the same picks as beforehand. Of course, for FaZe, I mean, they just came off of a 13-4 win over OR Esports.
Yeah.
The same OR Esports that took down this G2 team on Haven a few weeks ago. So this is a dog-eat-dog world where potentially FaZe, again, can just capitalize and just keep rolling over G2. Again, we've made it to map number 2. FaZe is on top.
And something that you mentioned as well, it's a FaZe that got wins against Mad Lions and OR, two teams that G2 lost against in 2-1 fashion. So we gotta see if things go similarly, or even that shows the strength that FaZe had and kind of that superiority that they have in a match like this one against G2 in the pistol.
In this sort of matchup, I'm just lining up these players 1 versus 1 at the moment, and I'm seeing so many even matchups.
Yeah.
That's on their best day. A lot of these players right now for G2, not exactly performing to their tip-top shape. FaZe, again, could inch that away very closely as we finally get into the first real big burst of the round, real big burst of the map. Double smokes coming up to cover up the B links, and G2, they're going to have to go for a full even man exec.
And getting that space towards B on the pistol here is interesting, but not safe at all against G2. Yeah, going for it. Dapper's gonna shot BV down.
That's a huge angle from Dapper, by the way. Very smart from Dapper to play that farther angle. But now here we go. Man advantage here for G2, and it already gets shut down. Poise gets shut down. Dapper going in, jumping in. Poise is able to get a second. And Poise, he has to go for it all. Penny takes one back. Dapper tip-tapping away through the site, and he's able to get a third to cap off the round. A huge opener by Dapper. But even more importantly, G2, that hustle to get back in whenever they got that advantage.
And the play there, which is so interesting from FaZe, there was a B side on the pistol, something that we don't see very often. And Dapper was just so quick to react. Like you said, the first angle that he had for the first kill into Baby Bay, expecting that aggression from him and then going massive. I think Dapper, and I mentioned it just that before that round, has been pretty consistent, not only when it comes to the way that he's supporting his team with the util, but also on this map overall, making sure that G2 is always having an opportunity to at least go for that re-hit, to go for a retake that becomes a lot easier for them on this defensive side. So, big way to start them off here for G2.
Now earlier on, FaZe can't really put on a lot of pressure. Sticking down to the pistols, and they played a little bit more of a default setup G2. And pretty much exactly the way that you would want an anti-eco to be played. Everyone in a position where a fast rotate could come in, and there's a second person potentially holding down the site. One person in C-Link is going to be doing pretty much the job in both C and B, but this double hold on A, it could actually break down pretty quickly. Shazam, he has to go so big here with his burst, and indeed he does! He keeps going for the fourth. G2 hold on to all of their guns after a flawless.
Good play there. As the cage goes down, Shazam is ready for it, gets 4 kills, and makes sure that what we saw on the map number 1 for the anti-eco is not going to happen again, doesn't stand a chance. And one of the things I mentioned, right, the different matchups and how good they're going to be for this map. When you're thinking about the 2 IGLs, Shazam going against Tig, playing that same role of the Sova, and trying to give that support. Now, Shazam is going to take that early lead, only 1 orb or kill away from having the Hunter's Fury, and something that because he gets so early, he has a chance to use a little more aggressive like we saw in that first map.
They're finally making a bit of an early approach here, and it might be a bit of an empty C site, but look at this from Oxy. Oxy heard poised, and now Oxy, he strikes down on him. FaZe, however, an empty C site in front of them. It's going to be a 5-man re-exec here, but actually Shazam, he still has a Hunter's Fury! And Oxy! He just does not care. He just walks right into Long. No care in the world for anyone watching that flank. He ends up getting the 2, and the rest of G2 hound Baby Bay. A third huge round for G2 off the back of a play from Oxy.
That is insane. It just seems like FaZe, they didn't really communicate that Oxy at least had a chance of being right behind them, going for that flank and getting those kills. I mean, Poise goes down. Maybe they get distracted because of that Cypher. But yeah, I mean, you take down 2 and now 3 players like that. And that's a bonus for G2. I feel like it's going to be one of those games for Oxy. I mean,
this
you
is
start
kind
to
of his
feel it
map.
right away. Yeah.
And he already has the op out. On Haven, when you have that defensive op, you have so many options. So many lanes to cover up. It's always going to be a bit of a mystery every corner you swing in here in Haven. Whether or not there's going to be an op or not. Maybe not in Garage, but even then there could be one. Dapper is here though, and he has some of his KJ util right next to him, and he only has a single player next to him. Whippy could hold it down. Whippy's here. Whippy wide swing! Whippy with the triple, and he's whipping around for the fourth. 4 HP left for the man after 4 kills from Whippy, and it's a 4th round for G2.
Massive from Whippy here. One of the players as well that had to step up and has to step up for this G2 squad, and does so with 4 kills into the round, looking so good. I remember all the way back then with G2 before that first split, people were even wondering what Whippy was going to be playing because he didn't have a controller experience before. He was playing it in ranked. That wasn't really an indication, and now he's so good at communicating with the rest of the team, playing for these skills and playing all the way back as safe as he can. That is a showcase of what he's capable of doing here.
And now the band gets yet another opportunity to really condition FaZe, to really instill the fear in them. Deep push into C long right now. And if FaZe attacks C, they're still going to have Oxy to worry about. There goes at least the one contact in Garage. Whippy, he's going to have to do so much work here to try to slow down this take potentially into C. But is that even the idea here for FaZe? They have poised right now over an A short.
Yeah, even if the hit were to end up on the C side, you're going to have Oxy, for as long as he is right now, just push so far forward. It doesn't seem though like that's the plan the FaZe had early into this round. A little bit of info towards there. And now having to back up and at least trying to force the players in this A side to back up.
They've at least funneled a few of these players back into a corner. That's a good aftershock, but here comes the swing. Penny is here for one. Shazam comes in flying from the back of sight to try to help out, and Dapper is still here in short, but he gets shut down. There goes the first kill from Superman, but there's still so much work that needs to be done for 2 players that are down to single-digit HP. Poise needs to run for the hills, and G2 has another one. It's 5-0.
Yeah, nothing you can do. It's just Am once again going massive with his 3 kills. As a hit ends up towards A, and he's ready for it. I think as well, the read that G2 has always had on FaZe, and we talked about it, it really showcases on this map of Haven, where even though G2 doesn't have the dominance against other teams, that you know they're going to have it against FaZe, and it is kind of that proactiveness to take and hold on to the sides until the very end when FaZe is going for that aggressive hit. Sam also doing such a good job into it. 8 kills so far.
It's just good play so far from a G2 team that has taken a plethora of different options from FaZe. The big thing that I was focusing up on the success from FaZe on their defensive half was how G2, they just weren't switching up that tempo whatsoever on that attack side of Ascent. And again, very surprising for a map where you can have that jet go off, just explode onto a site and just do his own thing. But here for FaZe, they've pulled out a couple of these players where they want Baby Bay on that front side to explode. They have a couple of these slow re-execs where they are able to chip away at C and B and go back over towards A. But G2 looking a lot more solid, a lot more consistent.
And if you're a fan of G2, that is exactly what you want to see with the way that this split has gone for them so far, and how desperate they want for a win, make sure that that score is not all negative for them. As we approach the end of the split, you have this match, the one next week against the Guardian, and that's it. That's it for G2. Yep. So looking to get something done here, and the momentum here, it's clear for G2. Let's see if they can keep it in this round.
Yep, Dapper has a huge opportunity for a peek, and Oxy. Such an interesting little trap that he was going for. The dash in alongside the flash to try to get someone on the other side of the site, but it does not work. Here comes Whippy, TPing around, trying to stay away from Nest. Dapper is in the back of C right now, trying to hold down the shift. The FaZe have done a really good job of taking away at B and making their redirect back over towards C.
Oh, and having to take this gunfight up close, so they want to stand a chance.
And it's not happening. The SMGs are going down. It's only Baby Bay to get a pick there. But again, half buy from FaZe. That's probably the better look that we've seen from them in terms of an overall plan to actually get into sight. But G2, the rifles overwhelm. And overall, just a really good idea. They still had 3 players isolating back over towards Garage. You don't really expect the SMGs to really be cooped up there, especially after a redirect rotation.
And for that play, especially after the spike gets planted, it does feel so 50-50 on whether FaZe can get those picks or not because of the weapons that they had. But something that they're going to have to adapt with as G2. They're going to continue having this operator in the hands of Oxy. And on top of that, they're going to have another chance here for that retake. That could be the lockdown. Even slowing down the play for FaZe that has been, you know, not the fastest because of how difficult it is for them to fight these players onto side very early on.
Another big opportunity here for FaZe again. Might not have guns going into the next round, and they might be giving G2 the half already, only 7 rounds into the half. FaZe have a bit of a more preset idea here. They want to get into a bit of a battle in these 2 A choke points before they end up making their exec. They're waiting for a contact back over towards long. They have 2 players right now trapping A short. This is a much slower phase from what we've seen before.
And it's an idea here that FaZe has that is correct. Based on the last couple rounds for G2, they've been playing aggressive towards short, especially Trisam and one of the rounds that we saw early on. So giving that space, expecting that push again. But now G2, they don't want to have that happen.
They still put out a contact back over towards the mid side. Tig pulls out the owl drone in garage. But, oh my goodness. There you go, Baby Bay. At least giving off the hint that there could potentially still be people here on A.
30 seconds
And all
left.
that's going to do is at least hold 1 or 2 players here, but they're getting so much from this. They're holding 3 players on A right now, and there's not a single player holding C at the moment. There is going to be a lockdown here for Dapper, and with 20 seconds left, it could come up big.
On that C side as well, to give up all that space, only the Killjoy util, giving that indication of that side of FaZe is getting that spike planted there. But yeah, that's what I mentioned. The lockdown massive here for the retake, and plan that G2 had all along.
Oh, and Whippy goes in already. Both Poised and Baby Bay trying to hold on to Garage are gone. The last 2 players, the last 3 players, excuse me, are all over and long. They're going to try the defuse. They already have a stun going in. They have a player going into Garage, but this one's just going to get held. I don't think the player's going to come in, but great stuff from Tig. Shock Dart goes in! But more importantly, do you see that last shot from Oxy? Oxy, the patience to wait for that lurk. And it works out for G2 at the end again. Yet another different look from FaZe that gets shut down.
And with the time and how it was running out, it just seems like G2 always had the read. This is where the play was going to end up. Because you leave that Killjoy util towards C, towards Garage, you're going to have that space, you're going to have that lockdown for that retake, and you are going to stack those 3 players on A. FaZe even going for their aggression, keeping 2 players in Garage, and both of them being shot down, and G2 once again knowing exactly how it was going to play out. Be careful of the Oxy here.
Uh-oh. He's gonna get pinged, maybe a shot through the wall. Paranoia goes in, he's still getting pinged, but Shazam's gonna be right behind him. He's gonna hold short now. There's gonna be 3 players holding on to A. There is no way FaZe wanna challenge this.
And this is the problem. FaZe here are waiting for the mistakes of G2 to happen on this defense, to go for that peak, to go for that aggression, but G2 are giving nothing here to work with.
It's incredible, really, because you get that sort of ping, you get that opportunity. There's surely some sort of shot that comes out there. But G2, they have stayed so safe in the early rounds, so consistently in this half.
Yeah. Yeah, and with that, the time starts to run out. You have 45, 30 seconds maybe to get that execute, and at that point...
Here we go.
Yeah, you have this kind of lead to make it happen 4v4, though.
One pick on FaZe ended up going down in Garage.
This is not too bad, though. Now the spike gets planted once again towards that C side, but now you have the Rolling Thunder to work with for Mummy. So that post plan looks a lot safer than it looked at that last round.
They're still gonna have that insurance policy, or at least they're still gonna have to keep an eye. Oxy's no longer alive, so hopefully they have someone looking over on Garage now, because Baby Bay is gonna come out of nowhere. You do have the Rolling Thunder to take away the player from the defuse. They're not using it. They're not using it. No!
No way! No way it just goes like that.
And 8 players survive.
I think it's just the idea. I mean, for G2, they go for it. They know the Rolling Thunder is going to be available. Just stick it. You're probably going to have enough time. So risky as nobody was shooting. Nobody was even trying to contest it and is trusting that the early util that the breach left onto the site. And no answer. Now this is the G2 that I expected to see, that with the better reads, with the upper hand every single round. This is the G2 that we knew for the mid-season face-off from that first split even.
I mean, that just has to be a huge mental break here for FaZe, because Mummy, he's 007 right now. He's James Bond right now. He's not able to hit the Rolling Thunder. Here we go. There's a big takeover towards C. 2 players in the back line. Baby Bay's gonna open it up with one big one on the Whippy, but Oxy already comes in. And Mame, right when I say it, he actually pulls off his first kill of the map. There you go.
And it had to be changing the pace for FaZe to make this one work out. And it's still not guaranteed though. It's a 4v3 to work with G2. They still want to go and get this fight.
Poised. He's gonna be the man that has to stand tall here in the middle of sight, as he's the only one here, and he already goes down. The 1v1 against the Sentinel, and he is gone. These last 3 players, they have basically 0 util to try to cover this. They had 1 shock dart, they've already used it. Here comes Dapper. Dapper with a huge pick, and Penny coming up huge too. Penny's up, coming out big. And now Tig. Oh my goodness, what a shot from Tig. Shazam taking the defuse. Tig not falling for it.
Do not hunt the hunter.
Pulls off the clutch at the end, and FaZe finally have a round.
All you had to do was talk about Tig, and I mean, there it is. Find some answers, even Mome too. As they try to change it, but really, what helps out FaZe so much is that they don't wait until the time is running out and they get that spike towards C, as they've been forced to over and over again. They go into it right away and catch a one player that has been Whippy off guard. That gives a lot of better opportunities for them to work around this. But the question is, how many times can FaZe replicate that kind of play, that faster one, that aggressive one on C, because this time around is different.
Oxy's getting isolated right now, trying to make his way out of A long, and this is huge. Superman has TP'd up into heaven, and nobody is here to stop him. But oh, how is Oxy the one to kill him? Baby Bay comes up and does punish him for good reason, but Shazam, he can't get a 2K. He had an open shot on another one, but Tig takes him away instead. This spot, do they know about Whippy? They're finally going for the plant in the back of sight. This is huge. Whippy pops out, and he gets one. 2 more to go.
Shadows traveling.
But not having any idea where the other 2 players are going to be, yeah.
Well
One of
done
them
from
looking
Baby
towards
Bay.
short, and yeah, the other one going for that swing, that being Baby Bay. As he opens up this A side, something that was impossible to do before, especially because of what Oxy and the way that he had been holding into short for the longest time. The only one that was up close for that contact was Shazam. Almost got taken down, so FaZe there, they find an answer.
And a good time to do it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Score's starting to dwindle. Their economy was about to get reset again. But man, oh man, this G2 team, man, they do not look all too bad here on the defense, to say the very least. And again, this is coming from a FaZe here on Haven who had just dropped 0-6 on defense against Moist Moguls. They're looking, to say the least, a whole lot better.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you get to see those kind of things, it just shuts down the possibilities for G2, and it feels like recently, especially, the win conditions for G2 have been trying to take an early lead into that first half, especially as they get to start on this defensive side, and they've done enough. 8 rounds, I mean, especially with the momentum that they got, were pretty good. As we get to see the end of that timeout, and the answers here for FaZe, because okay, you go for an aggressive push until that C side, it works out, then you go and do the same thing on A. What can we expect now, and how is G2 gonna play around it? Because now they're more ready. You see the util of that Killjoy a little bit closer.
Yep.
Take flight.
That paranoia that could come out from Whippy is going to be so huge.
And he's playing back, he's playing safer for it, expecting that push to be the same as it was 2 rounds ago.
The Rolling Thunder is going to be here too. Penny is on this side of the map, and Whippy already opens it up with a kill right through the smoke. Nobody else can go through.
Good read by G2 once again. As FaZe, they think they find something, and it gets shot down even with a spray through the smoke.
Oh, this is cool here from Oxy. He has all this control now, but nobody's shifting over to B off of this call. Especially the man on A. Shazam has the Hunter's Fury, though, and he could stop any play at any point on this map.
Yeah, because of that, he can hold a little bit more far back, as now they have the right idea of where this play can be coming through. They kill U2, gonna be the first indication, and yeah, there it is.
Oh, the Rolling Thunder is gonna come in from B-Link, and there you go. Penny ships into the back site, and he's able to get one onto Superman, and a couple more, that's for sure. A dime a dozen for Penny, as he takes back G2 into the win column, 9-2. G2 now have a huge opportunity for double digits and to continue shutting down FaZe.
The possibility to see that, I mean, absolutely there for G2, so clean. And yeah, FaZe also, and when you see Baby's face with the frustration of, guys, you just can't do anything. We tried so many different things, and each one of them is being shot down by this defense. Definitely a little bit of frustration that you can see on his face as you get to see this last round of that first half of the attacking side.
Hunter's Fury comes out early.
Tags one.
Only one, and he's getting tagged. He's not gone, he's not dead, but Superman actually gets a kill at the same time onto Oxy. That is C-Site gone.
Now this lockdown here for the defense. Gonna be harder to shut down as they comes through.
Oxy has to be kicking himself, though. He's been going for that C-long push for so many rounds, and it has never...
Yeah, it never works out, yeah. He never finds
He finally finds a 1v1 and he dies.
At least it's the last round, you know? Or then.
Yeah, of course. Go next.
Yeah, you go on the attacking side, different story.
Yeah, this is definitely a different story for FaZe 2. A has never looked so easy. Only one person is here. And FaZe, they're going to be taking finally a site take.
And that's massive. Dapper goes down. That was the lockdown that was going to be available that would have made a difference. Even after one of the players, 4G2, gets shot down.
Now Baby Bay having to dodge now. Superman in a massive position, and he will be able to capitalize. Penny and Shazam, the last two remaining, to try to push G2 into double digits. Penny getting pressured out. Still using a little bit of utility. There goes the stun into the middle of sight, but Baby Bay with the off angle. Oh! Only needed the one, but that was so sick. The updraft tech bounces his head off the roof, off the edge, and it ends up moving him that little slight bit that he needed. Very cool stuff, very cool stuff.
Yeah.
But that's all that we really could ask for out of FaZe. It's just a little bit of an aim showcase as they only got 3 rounds by the end of the half.
An answer that FaZe was trying to find, and they could never on this attacking side. Being slowed down, shot down by each one, honestly, of the players of G2. In a play that we wanted to see from G2, now we gotta see if they are able to turn it around on the second half. Make sure that that map 3 is 100% gonna be guaranteed. But FaZe, at least recently, they're getting those kills, they're getting the idea. I just think it is all going to change now. Once again, going for their aggression on the defense. Maybe we get spotted Door's garage.
That succeeds. My God, it does G2 look humbled to say the very least, but Tig, he's forced to come up big for Baby Bay, who goes down. He ends up putting Whippy down to 20 HP. That's all that he could really do. Everyone else for FaZe very far away from sight. The spike will go down safely.
In a way, it was trying to bait as well. Baby Bay, as he goes for the swing, wants to be the main focus for G2, and Tig tries to get a kill only. Gonna be good for one as a G2. They get the spike planted towards C so fast. It's a 4v3 to work with, and Whippy is low, but still, this re-hit, this retake is so difficult.
Yeah, they're struggling so much to get in. They're taking their sweet time. And even then, there's no way that they can really calculate for all of these off angles. Great angle from Shazam. Great angle from Dapper. Everyone else from G2, they do not relinquish the back of C sites.
Yeah, for the pistol, you're going to be on side. You're going to be playing out up close, and FaZe just can't do anything.
Yeah, you better.
The play was still good. The play from Baby Bay and Tig towards Garage, but it just doesn't work out. And recently, we've seen these two players going and getting the most kills in so many scenarios, kind of getting that synergy between the two, between that initiator and that duelist, but it doesn't work every time, and it's just an unfortunate timing for FaZe to not have a play like that one work out. As now G2, they have double digits, looking pretty good now to get this one as well. The buy is pretty heavy, a couple rifles for the attacking side.
Running into a little bit of util pressure. It's gonna be real easy for them to be able to dissipate this, but that smoke up from FaZe at least may force some contact from G2, force a piece of utility for them to burst out of it. We're only looking at the pistols to just take up, to scale up into these close angles, as indeed we've seen here from Superman. Superman up close and short, waiting for his opportunity. There's only 2 players in the back of sight, though. Here comes Oxy. Oxy, he's gonna mow him down. One paranoia is all that it takes. But Superman is still alive.
Last player standing.
Not for long.
Yeah, and he's dead. So, not much they can do to that round for FaZe. Maybe going for that swing as one of the players get spotted towards A, but maybe they just didn't have a chance. And yeah, the idea there for G2 to know that the players were going to be there to make that one clean. So getting closer and closer to the end of this map when we mention it, in spite of everything, in spite of the recent results for G2 and even how inconsistent sometimes they look on this map, they always look consistent when they go against FaZe on Haven.
That seems to be the one constant at this point, right? The last win they took over them was 13-8. The one before that, all the way back in the debut of Challengers, all the way back in week 1, it was a 13-6 from G2 over FaZe on this map of Haven. So the trend is continuing, unfortunately, and there's not much for us to really like point down to as being like, this is the one reason as to why they're losing. FaZe, I mean, everything is falling apart right now on this defensive side and on the attacking side. They just couldn't get anything done until, what was it, the 9th round?
Yes, this should do.
Yeah, and even uncharacteristic for the recent results of FaZe, the way that we're seeing some of these players get taken down so quick. Superman, Mummy, they have been massive in the past couple of weeks, and they haven't been able to find that success, right? It depends on what they were able to do on the attacking side, the space that they could get, and it was just not there.
We move on with G2 actually on the bonus, so this is a huge chance for FaZe to at least get themselves back into this. Oxy still has a shotgun right in the front lines, but nobody is challenging G2 here on C. Instead, FaZe are taking this time to rotate real early.
You leave this for the retake. You expect a couple of the players to go and play long, and the rifles to even help you out better, but nobody's going long, right? Everybody's on this side, and it's gonna make it so much more difficult with these weapons.
At least the shotgun comes up big, but there goes the shot back from Shazam, and the trades go up so huge for FaZe. Everyone with an opportunity to trade there for FaZe, and everybody does so. Well actually done by FaZe.
Was that important?
Yeah, well done by FaZe, and they stay alive on this map for just a little bit longer as the last 2 players. Like you said, get those trades, and it was exactly what they needed for the fight that was happening on that C side. So a little bit closer for FaZe, taking it round by round. It's honestly the only approach that you can have into this map, and even with the 4 rounds that you have.
This goes here.
Such a long road. Now's just the start of it. FaZe going on to their gun round. We're seeing this look here on Haven that we just haven't seen from them so far in this split. Again, they were perfect against OR. They were unshaken on their attack side against that team, especially their defensive side. Their defensive side went 9-3 against OR Esports a few weeks back. So this now for FaZe, they need to get back into that groove. They're on their preferred side.
It was a defensive side that against OR they started with, right? So now, do you have enough time, enough of an eco to build up around to make sure those rounds would go your way the way that they did before?
Uh-oh, Tig around the corner, waiting up on the paranoia. That was a huge play at first, but Superman is the one that has to capitalize, and indeed, he kind of does. He's only able to get 2, so it equalizes the round. But Mame, more important, he's the one that may have to go up even bigger, but everyone runs away, and he could get headshot here, and he does! A little bit too much dip on your chip.
I had a feeling that that's what we were gonna see. Definitely wanted that rifle, wanted to pick it up. But then you need to guarantee the kill, and G2 expecting as well that push to come through.
30 seconds left.
And with the trap wire on A, or on C, excuse me.
Shadows traveling.
They're gonna know about this lurk, about the shift back to C. All 3 players are here. FaZe, we have 2 players currently separated, but this is not a bad opportunity for them whatsoever.
But the different positionings here, the post blends have looked so good for G2 so far. They spot Baby Bay early on.
Oh, huge from Poise. He saw that alarm bot go up right in front of him. He ends up taking advantage of Dapper needing to reload. Now an even 2v2. They know where Oxy is. They know where Whippy is now too. Baby Bay 1v1 to keep FaZe in the game. Whippy playing around. No, no, no! Baby Bay! Up high, down low, Whippy. You're too slow regardless. FaZe is able to pick up a 5th after Baby Bay goes flying.
And Baby Bay does it all for that round and for that clutch as well. As the spike gets defused, massive as well for this Jet. And one of the players that we talked about had to step it up today if they want to get that revenge against G2. For this map, I mean, it's the little things like that that give you the confidence to make it work out. I mean, if you get the confidence from Baby Bay, this map and this comeback looks a lot more doable, but a lot more of those hero plays are going to be needed. As a Blaze Storm here for Baby Bay going to get used.
Get out of my way!
There's less pressure for Baby Bay to be a hero this round, that's for sure. G2, they're looking at their own eco. And the Blade Storm 1v1 goes the way of Baby Bay. The rest of the round shouldn't be all too difficult, but it's not like G2 have completely saved. They do have a rifle at least in their hands, but Baby Bay with the knives. Always able to find headshots, man, always.
Oh, he's crazy. 42 HP I think he had once he goes for the 3rd kill and he gets it too. Making this one fast for FaZe.
Just a part of the process, as it needs to be this full comeback for FaZe. We're still looking at the 11-6 scoreline.
In challengers, hey, nothing is impossible. Last week we saw a 10-2 comeback. So,
No, yeah.
you know, anything can happen. I mean, we've seen, honestly, like, think about all the things that we've seen in challengers. We've seen a 10-2 comeback. Even in the first couple of weeks of the split, we saw kind of the same play with the 3-9 comebacks happening back to back. We've seen Ninja defuses. We've seen, I mean,
we've seen 1v4s. We've seen 1v5s.
Just everything, honestly.
Yeah, and we are nowhere near done, folks. We're in the middle of what is it now, our second to last week of the regular season. Playoffs are coming by in just a little bit, in less than a month from now. But again, these games that we're looking at this week are so pivotal for that time. Even though some of these teams may not look like they're putting up maybe their best fight, you know, your guards, your M80s, your G2s, your teams that, you know, essentially coasted through split 1 and the mid-split face-off, and now aren't exactly showing too much of that flair. But when playoffs come around, man, they have to be at that full because Ascension's coming around.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? When you're playing week after week,
This goes here.
it just goes back, just goes and happens so fast. And whenever you're in Ascension, you have to play it to make it to the tier 1, and the pressure is always on for these teams. And all these matches, potential comebacks, dominant scores, they're all a testament of what the teams can do in the long run.
We're in now in a full gun round. It's G2. Put up every single one of their players through the mid side. Nobody from FaZe is fighting this B take right now, except for the late Hunter's Fury. The Hunter's Fury is going to come out, and it's going to lock one. Maybe looking for Penny. It's at least gotten some damage onto Penny and got a kill onto another. And Baby Bay with the op is able to find Oxy, who again got a little bit too much dip on his chip. And now G2, 3 players in the bottom of mid.
There's no ultimates. They're gonna be depending on so much more on those kills to come through. The spray as Sue gets stacked towards that left side.
And he doesn't have any util to stop this, and Dapper is isolated too. Good peek out from Superman. And again, it was all inevitable at that point.
Flawless.
FaZe is now starting to roll a little bit. G2, surely they're starting to sweat, but it's not out of their hands.
2 more rounds here for FaZe, and things really start to get scary. Especially when you're winning, and it is kind of the same thing that has happened in previous matches. You see one of the teams grab that momentum, and I mean, they are not going to let it go. We saw a timeout coming through for that last round, and FaZe still managing to come up on top, come up with that win. Now with a Rolling Thunder 2 from Mame.
They should potentially save it. They don't have a lot of other ultimates right now, and G2 are heavily building. Rolling Thunder and Hunter's Fury should be ready for the gun round coming up next. Still, a lockdown has been here since the last round too, so G2 clearly right now are building up towards one big exec.
And a lot of the time, sometimes we see 2 of those ultimates get invested, with Dapper maybe using it first, and depending a little bit more on that pose, especially for G2. Actually, they're using this.
The Rolling Thunder just shut it all down. I mean, if there's ever a way to win a round, surely this is one of them. Rolling Thunder against the anti-eco, or against the eco in general. And now Shazam, he actually comes out of it alive. And him going down here is going to give him the Hunter's Fury, so no issues. Still chip away with the Phantom. And oh my goodness, a 2v1 here for Shazam. 35 seconds left. If he can actually inch his way to spawn, he's going to have a red carpet to wherever he wants to go. Poised in Baby Bay. Totally clueless.
Just a general idea of where Shazam here is going to be located, but as the time runs out, he's going to go...
It's working.
With the spike to be planted, Hunter's Fury are going to be available too. The positioning here is everything.
Well, it works. He could even Hunter's Fury, but Poised is watching the cross. Beautiful position from Poised. The only position where Shazam could be and could pop out of. He at least holds down, but oh my goodness, that's a chance. That's a chance. That's a sweat being wiped off the brow, that's for sure.
Definitely closer than FaZe wanted to make that round, that's for sure. I'm still surprised though that they went for the Rolling Thunder by Mame into this round. Just, yeah, definitely wanting to guarantee that round against G2, make sure that they're not winning with those stingers. But one ultimate that I feel like is going to be missing, and that could be that piece to make that full comeback actually take place in this rifle v rifle.
Well, what else do they have to fight the big ultimate round? What else do they have?
That's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, what else do you have? Pretty much nothing to make this work out. The biggest piece that they have, the biggest ultimate, was that Rolling Thunder from Mame.
And they're playing
I mean,
one
look at G2. Yeah, now look at G2. They have everything.
4 ultimates on board. It's only Oxy that doesn't have his.
Nowhere to run.
With the rifle out, ends up going in. It's a free sight. Hunter's Fury to potentially shut down the rotators. Shazam's not using it for the post plan. He wanted to get some kills early, but it doesn't happen. But this is huge. Now, a Rolling Thunder and a lockdown still available for G2.
Deploying drone.
And it's going to be the 12 rounds of G2. They get away with the Baby Bay going for the swing, and Oxy expecting it.
Yikes.
Oh, and Superman. That is so unfortunate if you're Superman. He's not setting up that util. He could trade onto Oxy. He could trade his teammate Baby Bay. But this is actually a bit of luck here for FaZe, because Oxy, he was popping off. And he solo clears essentially this site. The lockdown just didn't need to go down.
One enemy remaining.
Something that you're going to take for sure if you're on the side of FaZe. Trying to spend as many ultimates on the side of G2 as possible, as it ends up being 2 big ones here.
Match point.
With that lockdown and that Hunter's Fury, but still gonna be getting to 12
Could run.
for G2, and the fight has been good for FaZe, but now with back against the wall, trying to get all these rounds in a row. They've been able to do it before, but is it gonna be enough to take him to overtime? You're gonna try with the timeout.
Lord. Baby Bay has come up big in the second half, at least. Currently at 18.
Yeah.
A little bit before, if I'm not mistaken, in the first half, he still had single digits, but still the rest of this team, oh boy, FaZe, growing little by little. We're seeing better plays out from Tig, smarter smokes, at least when it comes to stopping the takes from Superman.
Yeah.
There hasn't been anything special from G2. This half so far has been fully in the hands of FaZe. They've been reading a lot of these rotations before they even get into sight. Not a lot of retakes have been necessary here, Dryad.
And one of the things that FaZe maybe even thought about the possibility of doing is holding into that C side for just a little bit longer, but Shazam made it into that last round impossible with the Hunter's Fury, denying that the chokes where FaZe would be pushing or even going back to try to stay in and stay alive for a little bit longer. Two of them ended up taking damage, being 70 HP for the rest of the round, and it was a lot easier to shut them down like that. Again, G2, 12 rounds here, only one more that is going to be needed. Grilling Thunder by Penny gonna be available here, and a little bit of a stack early on for FaZe with 3 players.
Yeah, it looks like that stack. Yeah, an early util stack at that. But they're gonna put the breach on the other side of the map here. FaZe. This is huge. Baby steps up with one, the Rolling Thunder in his face, and he's able to actually dash into the back of sight. This is big. He can recollect himself. And Poised has the trap. Double trips in front of him, and he could get 2. He does indeed get 2. 2 trips, 2 trap kills, and now Whippy and Shazam are left scratching their heads. Shazam is still stuck in shorts, and what a shot from Poised. Shazam thought he had a chance, but with his bow out, he gets shut down immediately. A flawless for FaZe as they're back on the road for overtime.
What a play from Poised too. Baby Bay gets the first kill, a necessary one too, but then Poised all the way in heaven, even stunned by that Rolling Thunder, is gonna get those 3 kills at the very end. Well done. The player that we talked about, we highlighted early into the show, one of the best players that we had that last week, and potentially trying to do the same for this week. On this matchup, a little bit more of a rivalry between the two, but FaZe still trying to come back and slowly making it happen.
It's gonna be fast. G2 going right at FaZe. Baby Bay, what do you got for us? He has the off out, but he has a shorty under his belt. Poise is able to get one off the trap. Dapper is able to get another one right onto Baby Bay. And Poised isn't able to get a second. G2, might they have found the 13th? The gap for the 13th.
There's gonna be 2 of the players in Garage though. And it's expected to. But everybody, Utility gonna get that indication. The Operator gonna get the kill.
And Oxy has the knives. Whenever he wants to pull him out. Whenever he's done here with the op. Tig is looking to pop out. Whippy gets full flash, but Shazam shuts him down. A 1v4 for Mame. And he gets shut down like a Mame too. Wrapped up in Oxy. At least pushes G2 right over the edge. We have a map 3.
And a map 3 that we expected, we talked about, that is going to be that split, but a map number 2 that was domination in that first half by G2, and that really made all the difference. That 9-3, and it got scary. The defensive side was solid by FaZe. There's only so many rounds that you can get right at the end, and right when your enemy has 11, 12 rounds and you're with your back against the wall. So well played by G2. And this matchup continues to be the rivalry that we wanted to see from the beginning of Split 1, that week 1, where G2 had the dominance. Now we don't know how he's going to go on the map number 3.
Yeah, again, we were really hoping to see that stellar performance from FaZe on the defensive side, but like you said, it was just too far, too gone at a certain point. Just G2 winning the pistol pretty much won them the game at that point. So the margins are getting thinner and thinner here, folks, and map number 3 split will happen right after the break. Let's see who pulls it off.